After years of wedded bliss, Nick couldn't take it any longer. Melissa, through no fault of her own, had grown up in a home without cable TV or a VCR. If that last sentence confused you, Google it. This had resulted in her having very little pop culture movie knowledge. In order to right this injustice, the duo will watch and discuss movie after movie until Melissa has caught up with the zeitgeist of her generation. Welcome to their journey.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so ready for a movie. How are you?
I'm doing okay. March can be a little mad at times, but we get by.
Okay, March mad, we get by. Those are clues, right?
What? What do you mean?
Clues to the movie?
Do you know what we're watching this week?
Isn't March Madness like a basketball bracket thing?
I can't believe you actually know that. I am shocked right now.
Are we watching a basketball movie?
I'm just shocked you know that. Do you know?
I pay attention.
Okay. Do you know what we're watching?
No clue.
It's a film called Hoosiers.
Whoa, it is a basketball movie.
Do you know about this movie?
I know about this movie. There's like a sneaker on the poster or something.
There's a sneaker?
Yeah, like basketball sneakers.
Wow.
Like Converse.
Okay.
Which were used to play basketball. I know that too.
Wow.
Okay, I think Sean Astin's in this movie.
Sean
Or is that Rudy? That's Rudy.
I'm not telling.
Okay, I was somewhere when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
and like the class next door was watching Hoosiers.
Oh.
So I heard a lot of shouting.
Okay.
And I just thought it was like the coaches shouting.
Okay. All right. So, you think this movie is about basketball, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
All right. And you think, what grade were you in? Like, what, middle school?
7th grade, 8th grade. Maybe?
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. How are you feeling about this one?
I don't know. There was a lot of shouting.
So you just think you're gonna listen to a bunch shouting?
I think it's gonna be either like the turnaround team story.
Okay.
They're not that great, but they pull it together and they win the championship.
Okay.
Something like that. Or it's gonna be like a diamond in the rough story.
Wait.
Diamond in the rough. That doesn't make sense.
I don't know what a rough is. Sounds like a
That's
rough
what a dog
time.
says.
Rough time.
So it's or a diamond in the rough story.
How is that different than a turnaround story?
Like focusing on one character. Like maybe he's from, like the wrong side of the tracks. He doesn't have enough money to play, but he's
he's
really good, and so
All
they
right.
like bring him on or something.
Okay. And
Or I don't know, something else. Or all of those together.
okay. So you mentioned Rudy. Do you know what Rudy is?
No, not really.
So you've never seen that movie either?
That one involves football and Sean Astin.
Wow.
I've not seen it.
You've never seen it? Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. You may or may not be close on that one. What do you want to use for your tagline for this one, for Hoosiers?
Lace up.
Lace up. I love it. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
These 6 individuals have made a choice to work, a choice to sacrifice, put themselves on the line, represent you, this high school. This is your team.
Hoosiers. They needed a second chance to finish first.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the championship game.
You're not the new coach.
Are you expecting somebody different?
Younger.
Most incredible and improbable confrontation.
Well, those of you who don't know, my name is Norman Dale. I coached college ball for 10 years, but it's been 12 years since I've blown this.
In the illustrious history of the Indiana High School basketball tournament.
That's a hell of a team you had there.
You knew that team?
I know everything there is to know about the greatest game ever invented.
With a pint size hardly big enough for 3 syllables, Hickory Huskers, enrollment 64.
Out of here. Right now. You kicking me out? Yes. Don't come back until you learn to keep your mouth shut and listen.
Take on the defending state champions, the Mighty Bears of South Bend Central.
Run you off the boards. You got to squeeze them back in the paint.
Make them chuck it from the cheap seats.
Already calling this the game of the century.
I've seen them, the real sad ones. They sit around the rest of their lives talking about the glory days.
News people from all over the Middle West are here to witness Hoosierland's version of the Cinderella story.
It's got to work out this time. Or that's it for good.
The starting lineup for the Huskers.
Or my boys only know basketball, farming, and school.
A basketball hero around here is treated like a god.
You know, most people would kill to be treated like a god just for a few moments.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
Let's win this and for all the small schools who never had a chance to get here.
I love you guys.
Gene Hackman, Barbara Hershey, Dennis Hopper. Hoosiers. They needed a second chance to finish first.
So.
Woo!
Woo!
They did it! They won!
I can't believe it. It was so surprising. I am still in utter and complete shock that they won. I mean, spoilers. I mean, oh geez. I hope you weren't planning on watching this movie if you're listening. But spoilers, a sports movie about an underdog, the underdog wins.
I don't know what it is, but maybe I've just watched too many movies, like, I don't know, alternative movies or independent movies where there's a bad ending. Because I'm watching a movie like this and I'm having a debate in my head.
Yeah.
And the debate goes something like this. Are they going to win? I really want them to win. Yeah. Oh no, if I want that so much, it's not going to happen.
No.
They could still not win.
Mm-hmm.
But Melissa, all the signs point to this being a movie where they win. All the signs were there. But then I'm like, but sometimes they don't.
There were even signs on the sides of the barn that were pointing towards them winning.
I've just seen too many of those other kinds of movies where I really questioned to the very end. I'm on the edge of my seat. I was like, is he going to make that shot in the last 3 seconds?
I could do it, coach.
Go on, Jimmy.
Let me do it.
I really liked this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is. It was a great movie.
As the Blu-ray 25th edition trailer says, the best sports movie of all time.
So you mentioned the Blu-ray edition, but did you notice what the cover looks like?
Yeah, I did.
There's Converse on the cover.
Yeah, there is.
I must have walked by the H section in the video store like a million times and just had that implanted in my head.
Oh, that's probably true, actually. Well, I mean, literally those Converse are Converse that you used to have. You used to have that black pair of Converse. So,
I had the low tops, though. I never had the high tops.
Whoa, shoe nerd.
Just letting you know.
They're black and white Converse. That's all I was doing. I'm just saying, like, they caught your eye because you wore them. And yeah. So that's pretty crazy.
That was a really good movie.
Yeah.
When I saw the name Gene Hackman on the credits, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love when you were explaining how you thought you just heard someone listening to it at next door or whatever, and there was just a lot of screaming. I was like, yeah, that's Gene Hackman.
But you know what?
He does great screaming.
I wouldn't call it screaming.
Yelling.
I don't mind him yelling.
No,
he sounds amazing when he's yelling.
I would call it barking. It's like he's barking.
His voice is
he's
so wonderful. It's like gravelly, but friendly at the same time.
Yeah.
He is a chestnut.
A chestnut?
Yes. He is a chestnut, and his voice is amazing. I could totally listen to him yelling and anytime.
Well, that chestnut didn't crack under the pressure of the Indiana State Championship.
Way to take that metaphor
down
the court.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Swoosh. So we've kind of gushing. Do you want to give a quick summary of the film?
Yes. This was 2 stories. Remember, I was like not sure which story it would be.
Right.
This is the underdog team story.
Yeah.
Coupled with the newcomer coach story.
Yeah. The new person rolls into town, right?
Yeah. And he's an outsider and no one likes him. This is the most unfriendly small town. Doesn't remind me of my hometown. But it's pretty unfriendly to him.
The size reminds me of your hometown.
Yes, that's true.
Actually, it was probably a little smaller, but it was the 50s versus yeah.
It was one thing we noticed about this. So it's the story of an underdog team, but also the newcomer coach who has a history. You don't really get to know much about it. He has a checkered past. This is his second chance, his last chance.
Yeah, he was in the Navy. I'm trying to imagine. He was in his 50s, I think, in this movie. Like he literally says at one point he's 50 or something. And he was just like, whatever was happened, he's like, boom, I'm joining the Navy now. Things were so bad. He's like, I'm going to, at 40, enlist in the Navy.
Yeah.
Which you're like, what?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
But so he's friends with this principal of this tiny, small school in a small town in Indiana. And so he gets a second chance there after he leaves the Navy.
He does. That's true.
Yep. And there's a female teacher who gives him a really hard time on his first day.
She sure does.
I love it. There's like a lot of straight shooting in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone like kind of is direct but polite,
I don't know if they're polite.
Well, maybe she wasn't even polite.
She was not that polite.
He also had some times. No, he wasn't that polite either. But he was when it counted.
Yeah, when it counted. He totally quipped with her that first time. He was like, if you don't turn this around, you're going to make me question Midwestern hospitality.
Yeah, that was funny. A lot of good lines in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Barbara Hershey, by the way. It's the actress.
Okay. So, yeah,
Mrs.
then
Flieger.
he has to like prove himself, and he's just kind of like working with the team. He just got a handful of guys. What is it, like 5 kids on the team? 5 or 6 maybe?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to work hard and doing it. And they keep getting better. They're following his coaching. It's going great.
I love how much the town hates what he's doing. Like, he just wants to teach them fundamentals and get them to like function as a team versus like just, shooting good.
They want the star player to come back.
Yep.
Jimmy left the team. They want him to come back and do all the work, basically.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the whole town is so caught up with the basketball. Like when there's an away game, the entire town goes. It's like a parade of the town all the way to the other school. Which
is hilarious. Like even the preacher's son was on the team, and they had a church bus. They used the church bus.
Yeah.
And during the season they painted it yellow or whatever the normal school bus is.
Yeah.
And then in the summer they paint it white for the church. It's funny.
This was a really good movie. It was like a feel-good movie. It was like people being real kind of movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I imagine. That's just what I picture life was like in the 50s, honestly. Like,
yeah, everyone had their real job and then their farmer job. So he was visiting people, on the weekend, and they were
like
grinding sugarcane.
Yeah,
the principal was picking apples in the orchard. It was beautiful. Like the place where they filmed it was gorgeous. And the school itself that they were filming in was a gorgeous building. There was like these beautiful wooden stairs, wooden floors, like up to the, classrooms up top. It was gorgeous.
That's like, you have that all over, Americana. You'll find these little towns and then their schools or their town halls. They're just like these amazing buildings.
Yeah.
Nothing like the stuff that was built in like the 70s and 80s where it became just like concrete fortresses, Like they're beautiful buildings.
Yeah. They captured that feeling of the heartland.
Filmed entirely in Indiana, by the way.
Why is Indiana like what does the word Hoosier mean? I don't understand the word. And like why is it for Indianian people?
Indianians? Indianians?
I don't know. Indianders? What is it? What are they called?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they use the word Hoosier, because they couldn't come up with I don't know.
Hoosier is the official name for the people of the U.S. state of Indiana. The origin of the term remains a matter of debate, but Hoosier was in general use by the 1840s, having been popularized by Richmond resident John Finley's poem, The Hoosier's Nest.
What? This is from a poem.
I guess,
that people from Indiana are called Hoosiers.
Yep.
And it's the name of a movie about a basketball team from Indiana.
Yep. There's a theory for one governor who derived Hoosier from an Indian word for corn, which was Husa. I mean, I think theories abound, really.
So the word.
Oh, and the Indiana flatboatmen taking corn or maize to New Orleans came to be known as Hoosamen or Hoosiers. That's one theory too.
Whoa.
So that one seems more plausible, and that one's actually from Indiana.gov. So I'm going to go with that one.
So the word, I always thought Hoosier meant like
an owl.
No.
What? Oh, geez. What'd you think it meant?
This is so weird. I don't know why I thought this, but like one.
Okay.
One who hoses down the truth.
One who hoses down the truth? Like waters it down?
Yes.
Oh, he's a Hoosier.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay.
I've never heard that sentence spoken in English before in my life. One who hoses down the truth. Wow.
Like more like it's
like what?
Like more than just water it down because you're using it.
It's the level beyond watered down.
I always thought that's what it meant.
Wow.
Oh.
One who hoses down the truth.
Why? So I always wondered, like,
wow.
The poor people of Indiana, they're like liars or something. Why?
Oh, I'm going to go with that, actually. I think that's the official reason why Indianans are known as Hoosiers.
Well, thank you. Back to the movie.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Or
that
not.
is just, no, it's fine. I'm going to use that a lot in my daily life now. Don't you hose down that truth. You Hoosier. Sorry. Keep going. Wow.
I don't know if I can go on.
That was priceless.
So yeah, the team basically wins, every game, makes it to the state championship.
Well, they didn't win every game, not to be a stickler, but they lost a couple.
Okay, well they
won enough to advance.
They worked their way to the
correct
state championship.
Yeah.
Along the way, there's this one of the team members' dads, played by Dennis Hopper, is a drunk guy.
Yeah.
He's
an alcoholic.
He's an alcoholic, and he's just down and out. And Coach Hackman, he gives him a chance at being the assistant coach, and it's really cool.
The guy's like a super fan of basketball too.
Yeah, like he sees the potential.
Yeah,
so he gives him a chance. Hopper's a really cringy character.
He did really good though.
Oh no, I mean he was amazing.
He did really good.
Yeah, he's a great actor, and he really.
But
his character was just like.
Oh yeah, you just feel so bad, and then you feel bad for the son who's on the team and everything, and the town kind of shuns him, and he just seems like this irredeemable character, and that's totally why Gene Hackman's character wants to try and help him, is because he felt that way,
right?
And he wants to help redeem him too, because he feels like he's being given a chance. Yeah,
and the nice thing that this movie does is it doesn't like make that a slam dunk. He does not like just turn over a new leaf and like become this amazing assistant coach.
True.
He really struggles. He struggles with the pressure of it. Like he doesn't feel up to the task. I mean, and Dennis Hopper like conveys all of this with just a look on his face. There, he just feels like he can't do it, and he's not up to it. And like, why on earth would Gene Hackman give this to me? Because I am not worthy of this.
Yeah.
Go on.
I loved how at one point in the movie you were like, "This music reminds me of Speed. It feels like Speed right now." And I was like, "I know
it did."
And it has Dennis Hopper in it. You're like, "What are you talking about?" And you totally forgot Dennis Hopper was the bad guy in Speed.
I forget about his character in Speed. I'm sorry, Mr. Hopper.
He's deceased, so you don't have to worry about it.
Is he really?
Yes, he's deceased.
Oh, well, okay.
Sorry, I can't Hoosier that fact for you. Sorry, I need to be honest about it. Did I use that right?
I think you did.
I'm getting used to it. Okay, good. Way to be a downer, Nick. Melissa,
Man,
a lot of the movies we're watching, you know, a lot of people. Okay.
I know, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well,
he's
we
gone and yet he's
Speed.
impacting you right now. So that's a win, right?
Yes. His acting was amazing in this movie. But I forget about him in Speed because I just think about the bus. And, and the bomb, and I don't think about the backstory of it all.
That movie
and
has
music.
Yeah, that movie has one of my favorite lines. I quote it all the time. It's the whim of a madman. I love that line. Okay, so Dennis Hopper actually had a really cool methodology that he used for the scene. There's one scene where he actually it's one of the last games leading up to it, and he interrupts the game, and he's drunk and he stumbles onto the court and stuff.
I mean, up until now, he thought he was
he'd been holding it together,
around,
yeah.
And then he just comes out onto the court drunk in the middle of a game.
Yeah,
it's so awful.
And Hopper wanted a 10-second notice before the director called action. Do you know why?
No, why?
He spun around for 10 seconds. Allowing him to stagger onto the court and appear drunk.
Oh, it worked.
Yeah.
Because I even noted it was really noticeable the way he was walking. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. Oh. He remembered James Dean doing the same thing in the film Giant. James Dean had asked that director for 30 seconds so he could spin around to feel inebriated.
I think I would lose my stomach if I spun around.
I know, right?
Seconds.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Well, his character was energetic, really full of energy, and he was almost like a little kid.
It's kind of manic, actually. I think he would just
Okay, that's a better way of putting it.
He just get riled up, and I think it's because he felt so down about everything else. Whenever he talked about basketball, he just lit up and just was like a live wire.
Yeah, I really liked his character. Did he get redeemed in the end?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way,
his son, with his relationship with his son,
he ends up being so sad after that incident that he kind of goes off into the winter mourn and passes out overnight or something. So then,
on an icy river. Yeah.
And they take him to the hospital, and he gets committed to the hospital because that's back in the day where you would get committed for such things. And so he's there and he's out for the rest of the movie, but the son comes back before the big game,
right,
and says, Dad, I love you. And he'd been ignoring him and hating him the whole movie. And then he's like, I love you. And no matter what happens, we're going to get a house and get you out of here once this is done.
Yeah.
And we're going to live together again.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big deal for his character, I think.
It was, yeah. And again, it wasn't so it was a feel-good movie, and the team wins in the end, but then not everything was tied up perfectly either. So I think that's why... Yeah, I think that's what makes the movie so good.
I really liked too, how Gene Hackman's character he starts getting romantically involved with Barbara Hershey's character. Yeah, the other teacher, and she's very walled off because it's the tale is all this time. I got out, and then one of my parents got sick, and then I had to come back.
Yeah, so then she resents being in the town, and she doesn't want to have anyone else be stuck there. Right? She's worried about Jimmy, the basketball player, that this will be the best time of his life and he won't progress or move forward.
Yeah. But with Gene Hackman, I think she's totally and she plays it really well. She's afraid to have a relationship with him. She wants to, but she's really afraid of it because she's kind of walled herself off, and she's just kind of existing and doing her duty. But then allowing herself to be happy, knowing that if he's successful, he may just leave. She plays that really well. You feel that tension at a couple points in the movie too, when they're continuing to be successful.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah.
She's a really good actress.
She is. Hoosier. So, all that happens. They go to, and my other favorite scene in the movie, probably my number one, I don't know if it's my number one, but it's one of my favorites, is with the little short guy at the semifinals before the big one.
Yes,
he does the granny shots to get the foul shots.
Did they used to play basketball like that for real? Was a granny shot acceptable? Is it?
It's
is it
legal
acceptable now?
Yeah, I mean, it's legal, but no one would do it. It's like a professional bowling league, right? if someone did that on a bowling lane, like if you saw a professional bowler, just do that,
Yeah.
it's still a strike. You still get the pin count. It's just...
It was very funny for his character. Yeah.
It was. And he's all bragging about it later. So they go to the state championship, and Gene Hackman does that really cool thing when they get there, because the boys are all like overwhelmed by how big, because like 15,000 seat stadium.
Right. They went from their tiny town to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets his little tape measure out, and he has the boys measure the foul line and then the height of the basketball net.
And he's like, this is the same size as your court back home.
Yep.
But then on the way out of the gym, he comments to the other coach, it's really big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part of the movie? I just listed like two of mine.
I really liked the banter between Gene Hackman and the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name?
The actress or the Barbara
actress?
Hershey? Barbara Hershey.
Okay. I liked their interactions a lot. Their dialogue was great.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the beginning where I think he just gets to town, and he's asked to come to the barbershop, and it's filled with men, like probably all the men of the town are in the barbershop with him.
Yeah. And
they're like, we are into this team and we have a couple things to share with you, and they want to start like telling him what to do and how to do it.
Exactly. Yep.
And he's not answering their questions. He's really good at evading, not answering direct questions about his plans for the team and stuff. And then they start to go into it. And then he says, it's been real nice talking to you. And then he leaves. I really like that, because that sets the tone for what he's going to do for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And he's like that the whole time. He's like, okay, I heard what you said, but no.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So
Yeah.
you see you later.
Yeah. I loved that.
Yeah. The acting was just really good too, even from like the younger guys who played the basketball players. It's just a solidly good movie. I was trying to remember when I had seen it, and I had to have seen it probably when I was, I don't know, like around 10 or so, like pretty young, because I was not, super into sports movies or anything, but this was just such a good movie that someone in my family had rented it to watch, and yeah. Just a great one.
Sports are always better to watch in a movie, in
so
my
much
opinion, because you get like the close-ups.
Yep.
They don't show you the boring parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you get right to the last 30 seconds.
You get a good montage in there.
Yeah. It's the best way to watch sports.
Yeah. When I enjoy sports in real life is when there's like you're eating and basically just talking to the people around you, and then you casually just like look and you're like, oh, someone scored, and then whatever. That's typically how I tend to enjoy sports in real life.
I just realized another reason why I really liked this movie.
What's that?
It's basically an earlier version of the Mighty Ducks, which an underdog team, a new coach.
Yeah, actually,
right? There's the formula.
That's true.
And I loved the Mighty Ducks.
I'm trying to remember. This is from 1987. And I'm trying to remember when the Mighty Ducks was. Like, I think it was the early 90s. So this is not too far away from the Mighty Ducks. Anywho.
Do you have a favorite sports underdog team?
1992. Do I have a favorite sports underdog team?
Movie. I don't even know if I could think of another one, to be honest. I just thought of one. That's it.
The Bad News Bears is pretty good.
What's the Bad News Bears?
You've never seen the Bad News Bears?
Is that a movie? I thought it was just something people said.
Oh my goodness.
I really
Bad News Bears.
What?
Adding it to the list. Bad News Bears. Okay.
That's a real title of a movie?
It's a movie. Yeah, it is. Rudy is also a great underdog sports film.
I've not seen that.
I know, we mentioned that before. Major League is pretty funny. That's a comedy.
Major League,
yeah. You've never seen Major League?
I don't think so.
Man, I've seen a lot of sports movies, I'm now thinking. Major League was pretty good.
Oh, A League of Their Own. That one an underdog.
Is that an underdog film? That's a great film, but I don't know if I'd classify that. I mean, the fact that the entire league is a women's league makes it the underdog film, I guess. Like, they fight, they go against the adversity of that, like just people not thinking they're as good as men and things like that.
Yeah, I would say so.
I don't remember their team being. I remember their team being like a pretty good team though, like in the League of Women.
Can we stretch the term of underdog team to include a league of their own?
Sure, if we wanted to. We can do whatever we want. We're mad with power. What do you think?
Are you going to ask me for the message? Because I think it's really clear.
No. What is the message in this film?
Don't give up. Practice. Keep trying.
Don't give up, practice, and keep trying.
Right? I mean, that's like every message of an underdog.
That's pretty much just like a Midwestern way of life, right?
Also, like if your coach sounds like Gene Hackman, it's okay if he yells.
That's true. That's a good one.
Thank you. Pray before the game.
Pray before the game. I did like the preacher's son that they had that running gag of him just not stopping praying.
Yeah.
And he just kept going. Message of this film would probably just be like, there's always a second chance. Like second chances are real.
That's a really good message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't over till it's over, as they say. You think this movie holds up pretty good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially because it's filmed, well, it was like made to look like it was 1951.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of timeless.
Agree. It was that weird part of, you have that tension as a viewer when I literally just didn't remember it was the 50s. So in my head, I was like, oh, it's from the 80s or something. And just because that's...
When we were watching it?
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Even though all the cars
No,
like,
but that's what
okay.
I was explaining. There's this moment in the beginning where there's a tension because it starts with Gene Hackman just driving into town.
Yeah.
But he drives through the countryside and through all these beautiful roads. The cinematography is beautiful too.
It is.
It was very beautiful. The landscape and everything and the buildings. But he's in this car and it looks like a 50s car. So then you're like, wait a minute. Is this from the 50s? Or is he just like that eclectic guy who 30 years later still has the 50s car, and that's just part of his brand, you know?
We did wonder that, but it doesn't take long to like.
No, once he got into town, you saw everybody else had 50s cars, and then it was fine.
And then it gives you the date.
Yeah, and then it literally, when we were like back and forth, it literally gave us a date. True. It was just that first 2 minutes where there was that tension for me, where I was trying to figure it out. What do you think the worst part of this movie was?
The worst part.
I know the unbearable parts were just the parts with the dad.
Yeah, with Dennis Hopper.
Just seeing him struggle with the alcoholism. Like,
yeah. That was like, yeah, unbearable. That's a good or hard to watch. What?
I just thought of my other favorite part of the movie is when Jimmy comes in and deploys what I call the nuclear option. Gene Hackman's about to get kicked out as coach. The whole town voted on it, which is hilarious that a town can vote to dismiss a basketball coach.
I know. It was a referendum.
They got enough votes. And then he comes back and he's like, I'm finally ready to play, but only if coach stays. And they're like,
we need a revote.
Mm-hmm.
And that just before that is when you found out that like the coaches, the thing that happened in his past was that in a fit of rage, he hit a student.
Yeah. He hit
when
one
he
of
was a coach.
His players. Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeesh.
And the teacher, the female teacher that he's wooing or sort of, she finds out about it.
He's courting her.
She finds out.
Yeah.
This happened. Like he didn't tell her, but she goes to the library over in the other town and looks it up. And she was going to read it that night.
Yeah, she had the paper in her hands.
She had it ready, but she didn't.
Oh. Yeah. Tension.
Yeah.
That, if I'm being honest, just the way culture was back then, a coach like hitting a student, he must have hit him really hard in order for him to just get completely like banned from the league. Just because, I don't know. My perception of how things were back then is behaviors of a certain kind were more tolerated than others. I mean, literally in the South, you had very violent things going on, like racial things and all this other stuff. So I was a little surprised that he got banned for life for just hitting a student, which is horrible. You should not hit students, but it was the 50s. So my perception was like, is this really? would he really have gotten like kicked out of the league forever type thing, or just anyway.
You always find something to question.
I do.
That is
I
your
can't
way.
help it. And I had to go Hoosier on that one too. Like, did I use it right again?
It's weird. Like hearing it used, I'm like, it doesn't feel right. It's more like what you call a person. It's not a verb. It's a name for a person who hoses down the truth.
All right. So in that context, if I said that, you could have said to me, "Man, you ain't Hoosierin'."
No.
Oh yeah, I did it wrong again. Man. Okay.
No,
right.
if it's like someone comes in and they're telling you like a tall tale, and you can be like, "Don't be a Hoosier. Just be straight with me. What really happened?"
Okay.
That's more of like what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm gonna just write my own dictionary.
I think you should, and it'll be called the Non-Midwestern Almanac. I don't know what you would call it. So, if you were a character in this movie, besides the teacher, the love interest, who would you have been? Like in this town, who would you have been? What?
I probably would have been, was his name Ollie, the short basketball player on the team. I mean, okay, so I'm not really that great at basketball.
Okay.
But I have drive, and I can try. And he did. Like, he just did his best, and he was like, he hung in there.
Okay.
Even though he wasn't that great. And he made some mistakes, but he still stuck with it. That's me. That's totally me.
All right.
Or what I'd like to be anyway.
Nice.
What about you?
I want to be the dad of the kid who walked out, but then came back and apologized.
Oh.
I want to be him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd be him. But I'd want to be him because he was just such a solid. He was keeping everybody else at bay, letting the coach do his job, and just being like a good, solid, supportive character.
Did he end up becoming the other assistant
coach?
Yeah. That was him, right?
He was hanging out on the bench, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a cool character. It was just a short moment, but it was cool what he did.
Either that guy or there was another random guy who was just in a lot of shots and had crazy eyes.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. He was the one, he was like talking the most in the barbershop meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. He did have crazy
Maybe
eyes.
I'd be that guy. Coin toss. We'll see.
I just don't see you caring that much about basketball to be that guy.
That's true. But,
sorry.
Every time I see a movie like this, I always think, well, they didn't have the internet and they didn't have TV or they had very little television. Like they had nothing to do. So they have to get obsessed over something.
There you go.
And that's what it is.
And they listened to it on the radio.
They sure did.
So quaint.
They shut the town down.
Yeah.
They had a little theater and they shut that down with the things and everybody's watching the big game.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, it was very quaint.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we watched this movie.
I am glad we watched it too. And I am starting to get nervous because
why?
I keep picking these amazing films. And so I've got to hit a dud. My record's getting higher and I hope I make it to the state championship.
Good luck.
But I'm getting nervous. We'll see. All right. Till next time.
Later.